The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 158 of The Daily Mother Swole. Come watch. The game train has come back to the station. I am home. Chillin'. Daddy is back. I am home. So if you missed me, I don't think you really did miss me because I've been here the whole time. I haven't left. And remember, if you're first timer into the Daily Swole, which I don't know if anyone is. Remember, it's live on Facebook Live sometimes. It's trying to reconnect right now, but always on Periscope, Busker, and you can find this on YouTube at Swolenormous, and SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. So it's a podcast as well. So if you are unable to watch live or you're unable to watch YouTube, but you just don't want to look at my amazing hair and beard, you can always listen to my amazing hair and beard. So you are always able to catch this audio or video or live. So it's great if you want to ask some questions. Usually do Q&A afterwards. And you can also find me on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, all those good places. So triple live broadcast, more or less. But remember, if you have any connection issues with Busker or Facebook, just follow me on Periscope at Swolenormous, and usually the connection is always great there. That's my priority live broadcast site because the interaction is the best there. So welcome if you're following me and you're watching live. Let's talk a little bit about flushing out excess water. And the reason why I want to talk and touch upon this for today's episode is because I ate like absolute shit over the last few days. And it's because, like I said, I, for the first time, really have been taking off from the gym, and I'm getting a little mental recovery, kind of reassessing where I want to go. I want to focus more on stretching, flexibility. I'm nursing a couple little injuries. I don't want to nag. I just want to heal and recover and kind of refocus my physical approach to exercise. I still want to go heavy, and it's a little bit disappointing because I was on absolute fire. I was pumped. I was ripped. I was on a roll, and then I just kind of mentally, I kind of burned out. Things kind of came to a head, and I fell out of wanting to go to the gym. And that usually means I'm overtraining in one aspect or another. We've talked about overtraining before. We've talked about the mental aspects of overtraining. We've talked about the physical aspects of overtraining. And there are a lot of different signs for overtraining, but everyone is different. So it's not always the same for everyone. It's not always, oh, my muscles are sore for longer than normal. Oh, I feel tired, or I'm hungry, or I'm not hungry, or I'm loss of appetite. It's not the same for everyone. There's about 30 or 40 or 50 even different signs of overtraining in some respect. Yes, I'm home. I'm home, pumpkin. I am home. Everyone's coming in. You're home. Oh my God. Yeah, the fan's back. The fan's back. So anyway, the overtraining, the aspects of overtraining for me is I don't feel like working out. If I am just not motivated to work out, I just don't feel like it. I just feel drained and I don't feel like going to the gym, or I don't feel excited when I'm in there. That's a good sign of overtraining. Could have been a couple things. Could have been adrenal fatigue. Could have been caffeine, just a stimulation, lack of sleep. But I have been talking about yoga and stretching and recovering for a while. So this is from my aspect. This is from my personal feeling, my personal situation. So my left shoulder, out of nowhere, I don't know what happened. Like anything else, things just break down and you could do everything right and still have an injury or still have a tweak. The question is, are you doing things before you have an injury to prevent it? Or are you doing things while you have the injury to prevent it from happening again and to strengthen it? So I'm going to actively heal it, and I'm going to massage my ego and be like, okay, you'll come back, you'll be stronger, be better than before. But it's hard to get out of it once you're on a roll. But shit happens, and you have to be mature and smart about it. It's those people that, I'm going to do it anyway, and just, if I don't have pain, I'll just keep going. And you don't fix the problem, and you have a problem later on. Anyway, coming back after all that, I have not really worked out. I didn't stretch that much. I was sitting in a car, sitting on a plane, so I was really immobile this past week. And I didn't prepare my meals, didn't eat on my normal routine. So I know I'm retaining excess water. I know I'm a little bloated. I just feel a little puffy. I feel a little rough around the edges, so to speak, because my diet hasn't been on point. I haven't been getting my greens. I haven't seen a vegetable in a few days, so I need to tighten things back up. So in order to flush out excess water, and a lot of times you might be retaining water if you have a salty meal, if you don't normally eat salt, or if you consume a lot of carbohydrates. There's certain ways to flush out excess water just to get back on track. I'm not talking about a juice cleanse. I'm not talking about anything like that. That's a whole other topic. But there are certain things that you need to pay attention to if you're trying to keep your water retention to a minimum, because water under the skin, subcutaneous water and intramuscular water, is a good thing, but also it can affect your definition, your visual appeal. You can sweat, but at the same time, you want to stay hydrated. So the best way to flush out excess water, it's going to seem kind of simple, is to drink more water. You have to drink lots and lots of water. You have to drink extra water. Now, drinking plenty and plenty and plenty of water is going to help you flush out excess water, because if you're getting enough water, your body will be like, hey, I got plenty of water. Let me get rid of the rest of it. So if you're flushing out excess water, it's because you have enough and you are getting rid of the leftover. And a lot of times you would think, well, I'm not going to drink more water because I am going to hold more water, but that's not the truth. What the truth is, your body usually has extra water for either inflammation, or it's, let's say, trying to dilute byproducts and chemicals that you are consuming in your diet or that you have as a result of exercise. So if you're inflamed, let's say you worked out hard, you have trauma in the tissue, your body is going to retain excess water to deal with inflammation, to shuttle nutrients out and in the lymphatic system and so forth. So you need to drink more water so your body has enough water for what it needs and it can get rid of the extra. It's going to also help with sleep, for example. If you're sleeping improperly and you are lacking proper sleep, let's say 6, 7, 8 hours a night, that depends on the person. But if you're not sleeping enough, you also will retain water. So extra sleep and getting a good night's sleep will help your body regulate, and those hormones will actually rebalance. And I think a lot of people don't understand the way your body regulates water. And this is where it comes into play with the kidneys, with releasing antidiuretic hormone. There are hormones in the body that tell your body either to reabsorb or to release water. And one of the reasons, for example, that alcohol dehydrates people and coffee dehydrates people is because the chemicals in alcohol and coffee actually block the antidiuretic hormone, and your body doesn't only just pee from the fluid that you're consuming, but it gets rid of extra fluid. So you urinate and then you extra urinate, so to speak. So you not only get rid of the fluid that you're consuming, you get rid of fluid that you need, and more than you should be getting rid of. That's why when you go to the bathroom, when you've been drinking or coffee or drinking alcohol, you pee extra. And that's not good, because then you are, as a result, dehydrated. So if you are drinking coffee or are drinking a beer or alcohol on the weekends or at night or whenever, try to drink some water in between so you get extra water so your body doesn't get dehydrated. And that causes a lot of things like hangovers and headaches and stuff like that. A lot of times headaches are caused by being dehydrated. Yeah, it's so refreshing to see someone in fitness not preaching pseudoscience. Well, the thing is, and we'll come back to more stuff about water, but it's important to understand that the basics do work. The basics do work. Just doing the basics will work. And I think a lot of times in fitness, it gets off on trying to sell a product. It gets off on the new quick fix or the new fad or the new style of training, whether it's high intensity interval training or it's CrossFit or it's Orange Theory or it's some kind of new freaking workout program. I mean, human movement is human movement. In my opinion, really, I'm not going after CrossFit. I'm not going after any kind of group exercise. I'm not going after anything. You have to find what works for you, what you like. When you get results, when you're happy with your body and you're happy with your life, that's fine. You've won. I'm not knocking anyone. Sometimes on certain episodes, I'll go after and I'll just kind of rage on one topic. But a lot of times it's because people do things without understanding why they do it. They're not getting a result. They're just punching a brick wall and they think they're going to make a hole. That's what a lot of people do with fitness. So when I knock on something and I go after something, a lot of times it's because the mentality of people doing X, Y, and Z without understanding why they're doing it. They just follow their friends or, ooh, that looks good, or I'm having fun. And they do that, but then they're not happy with the results. It's because they're just freaking doing anything. They're not putting the time into figuring out why they're not getting results or what's best for them. That being said, you need to do what's right for you, but the basics like drinking water and drinking plenty of water. I encourage all of you to figure out how much water you're drinking. If you start drinking water, this is another point. If you start drinking more water and you haven't been drinking a lot of water lately, Oh, thank you, Michelle. I am quite built. Let me flex for those that don't know me. There we go. If you just start drinking more water, extra water. Thank you for the support, Ramya. I really appreciate that on Busker. You might feel full because remember, the water is going to your stomach and it is filling up your stomach. You need to increase this over the course of the entire day. If you just drink a ton of water and chug it, you're going to feel full. Just like eating smaller meals more frequently, if you start eating smaller meals, even though you're not getting that many more calories throughout the entire day, the frequency of the eating is going to make you physiologically feel full, even though you might not be completely like, oh my God, stuffed. When you're drinking water, it's going to feel the same way. You need to increase your water intake gradually and spread it out throughout the entire day. Don't go chugging a gallon of water right before you go to bed. You need to slowly increase your water intake throughout the entire day. I encourage all of you to either get a gallon or start measuring your water intake. The reason for this is chances are you are not drinking enough water. You are not drinking enough water. When you don't drink enough water, your body gets stunted. Your thirst mechanism gets stunted. I'll flex again. Those of you that are on SoundCloud and iTunes, you're missing the gun show. There's a lot of that live on YouTube and on Facebook Live, Periscope, and Busker. You get a lot of beef. You get a lot of beef on my show. Woohoo! So just a little intermission. Remember and reminder: if any of you that are watching live, you do not know YouTube at Swolenormous. I have almost 600 videos on there. The Daily Show, every single episode is on there. And you can also find this on SoundCloud and iTunes and Stitcher as a podcast, Daily Swole, no space. So you can look me up, Swolenormous, on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and also YouTube. So the only episodes of the Daily Swole I think I've done with a shirt on were this past few days. There's a couple deep in the archives if you want to look through, but this is episode 158, I believe it is. I always have to think about that. So getting back to the thirst mechanism. If you don't drink enough water, your body just shuts down. In other words, it keeps on asking for water. Give me water. And you're like, no, give me water. No, give me water. No. So then your body just stops triggering that you're thirsty. And that's why a lot of people can go through the entire day without drinking water because their body is so desperate for water, it just gives up. It just gives up asking for it because you're not giving it water. So you'll stop feeling thirsty. But here's the problem. Here's the kicker. And we'll talk more about this another time. And I've talked about this before, with what your body does if it's not getting enough water, you'll start to feel hungry. So when the thirst mechanism gets so weak, in other words, when you're not drinking water, your body gives up asking for it because it doesn't receive it. It's like, can I have some water? No. Can I have some water? No. Eventually you're going to stop asking because it's not getting it. Why would it trigger a thirst mechanism that has no result and has no effect? You'll start feeling hungry because your body gets fluid. Unless you're drinking the most dried up, burnt up, crappy toast, you're getting some hydration in food. So you'll start to feel hungry. And guess what? You're usually drinking water when you eat. You're usually, getting moisture or drinking fluid or drinking a glass of water while you're eating. And yeah, if you're in medical school, chances are, it's actually probably a good thing to stay a little dehydrated and train your body to stay a little dehydrated because you're not always access to water. If you drink tons of water, first off, you go into the bathroom and you can't if you're in surgery or if you're doing anything with your work. And first off, you'll be running to the bathroom all the time and you don't always have access to water while you're doing what you're doing. So it's actually probably good, but that's specific training. If you need to for work or for any certain situation, if you're usually not able to access water regularly, you got to drink a lot earlier in the day. You got to drink a lot later in the day to balance it out. Because if you're not able to drink a lot during the day, that's going to be maybe specific to your craft or what you're doing. If your job, you just literally cannot drink water all the time, you have to work around that. But anyway, it takes, an hour or two for the water to get into your system. So you need to drink plenty earlier in the day. Like I said before, working out, you have to drink about an hour or two before you work out for it to absorb into the system. So if you're drinking on the way to the gym or you're drinking now to expect to get hydrated now, it's too late. You have to be drinking an hour or two. That's why you want to drink throughout the entire day. That's why you want to saturate your body throughout the entire day with water. So that being said, another way to just flush out excess water after, let's say, a few days of eating poorly or a bad meal is to start cutting down carbs and increasing fat for the next couple days. Not saying you do intermittent fasting, but if you just increase your vegetable intake, things like asparagus can help you flush out extra water. That's why a lot of bodybuilders eat asparagus, because it helps, be more diuretic and, get you and flush water out. But cutting carbs, water goes with carbohydrates. So excess water will flush out when you start cutting carbohydrates, because water, just think of, pretend water attaches itself to carbohydrates. So if you start cutting carbs, you'll flush out a lot of excess water. Now, understand, if you start eating carbs again in a day or two, that water will likely come right back, but you still want to balance out. You want to increase your fat intake, drop carbs slightly. It'll help you flush out a little excess water if you're feeling bloated, if you just want to kind of jumpstart and kind of balance out your body again. It doesn't mean you're not drinking water. You might cut carbohydrates, but also drink a lot more water to help flush your body out and get rid of that extra bloating. And thank you for the hearts so far on Periscope. Remember, the goal is 1 million hearts by New Year's, and I think we'll get that as long as you guys keep on tapping. So get your kids, get your toes, get your iPads out or whatever, and hit those hearts on Periscope. I appreciate it. So anytime, just so you know, anytime on Facebook, Periscope, or Busker Live, if I say something that strikes a nerve that you like, or you're like, oh, cool, that's good stuff, throw a heart up there. I appreciate the support. Busker, all of them, Periscope, just hit the like button. That is much, much, much appreciated. So those are a couple ways that you can help regulate water. It's very simple. You have to drink more, and you can limit your carbohydrate intake. Those are two great ways to initiate getting rid of excess water and your diet. Start drinking more water, eating more fruits and vegetables, and those things will help, flush out the extra toxins and help you rebalance your water your water levels, for example. So kidneys, the kidneys are important. That's what's regulating your water levels with the diuretic hormones, and I'm not going to get into all that technical science in this episode, and I'll answer that question on Busker in a second. But the reason why the water system in your body is delayed, the reason why certain things get stunted, is because it has a lot to do with the endocrine system, because it has a lot to do with your perception of, or your body's perception, your mind's perception of what's going on in the body. So your actual thirst mechanism, your hormonal balance, if you're not getting sleep, your hormones are going to be jacked up. If you're not drinking a lot of water, your body will adapt to not drinking a lot of water. And I talk a lot about adaptation. I talk a lot about what your body gets used to doing. So if you're not drinking enough water, your body will get used to not drinking a lot of water. But it's going to come out as a hunger mechanism. So you have to be aware of that. A lot of times, if you just drink a big glass of water before, like 10, 15 minutes before eating, you won't feel as hungry because you're really thirsty. Most of the time, you're thirsty, not hungry. So if you drink let's say a glass or two of water before you eat, about 10 minutes before, your real hunger mechanism is going to kick in, and then you'll feel your true hunger. Because a lot of times, you'll be surprised you're actually more thirsty than you are hungry, because water is more important for survival for the body than food. You can go a couple weeks without eating. You can only go a couple days without drinking fluid. So it's really more important if you're talking about like a life or death or a survival situation. So always be drinking plenty of water. I'm going to stay for a few minutes after, just so a little reminder. Remember, YouTube, Swolenormous, so make sure you like the video. Even if you're watching this live, when I post this video later, go on YouTube, give it a like, subscribe on my YouTube channel if you haven't, Swolenormous, and if you have the podcast, SoundCloud or iTunes, make sure you hop on SoundCloud, give it a like. Even if you already watched it live, I appreciate the support. If you have not given me a review yet on iTunes, please go on there and give me an honest review. I appreciate all that support and feedback. It's the only way we get better. My background, I have a degree in exercise science. I taught kinesiology and personal training certification courses, year-long courses, for about 4 years for the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I have the Certified Strength Conditioning Specialist. I taught for the 3 certifications for NASM for about 4 years. I worked for Beachbody, P90X, and Insanity, teaching certifications around the country. I've been in a lot of those workout videos and continuing education videos. I've done personal training, private training. I've owned a gym. I've pretty much done everything in the fitness industry. I teach yoga regularly. I've been doing bodybuilding and personal fitness for myself for about 15 years, and I played sports my entire life. I just have a huge wealth of information. Boot camps on the beach. I've trained in the fanciest condos. Have covered pretty much every aspect in the fitness industry. And in terms of, in terms of my background, it's a lot with education, but really it's all that and it's all that with the experience. It's all that with the experience. And you cannot, I've teaching yoga for about 4 or 5 years. You cannot trump experience. And that's the problem with a lot of people that you're going to follow or you're going to see on Instagram or on YouTube. There's no requirement. There's no requirement for people to put out content with it, which is great because anyone can get their voice out there. But the problem is you have a lot of people following for, oh, this person looks good or this person has a certain personality. And really, there's a big discrepancy between this, the popularity of fitness and what's the right word? The marketing of fitness. And a lot of it's much simpler than you could ever imagine. It's all going to be hard work, but at the same time, there are certain things and certain fads. And it's very hard to separate that when you go out into the world of Google and you go out onto the web. It's very hard to separate the fad, and the fiction, the myths, and the stuff that really isn't that important. The most important thing is to understand that all these things are great. There's a lot of good information and a lot of good workout programs. There are some that are better than others, but no matter what it is, you have to figure out what works for you. So I could talk all day long about a certain diet, about a certain way to eat, about a certain way to train, and you might find that you have to tweak it in certain ways to get there. So my goal and what we're doing here on Daily Swole with the questions and answers, with all these different talking points, is my experiences, my education, but also to help you think more for yourself, because following and just kind of, like being a good puppy, like, okay, I'll do that. It's not teaching you anything. It's not making you better. It's not making you a better person. It's not giving you any command over your fitness. You need to understand it from your perspective. You need to be independent with your exercise. That way you can tweak it. That way you can adjust. And that way you can be more self-aware and you will get more results that way. The better you understand, no one's going to understand you better than you. And the better you understand yourself and how your body works and how your body reacts to food and how your body reacts to exercise and when you need recovery. Like right now, I know when I don't feel like working out, I don't. I know the difference between not feeling like working out, okay, I take a day off, and I don't feel like working out, but I say I have to go work out anyway, and I go and I push, and I have a great workout. But you have to know the difference between which type of not feeling like working out is it. Should I take a day off, or do I have to just suck it up, buttercup, and push? So there's a lot of subtleties with the human body. So, yeah, Ramya, it's important to have that background. At the same time, knowing or sitting in a classroom doesn't give you that perspective. Just sitting in a classroom or having an education doesn't mean that you know what you're talking about. So that combination that I have with education and the actual physical experience from a teaching standpoint, from a personal standpoint. So things that I talk about is not just from a book I've done. I would not tell anyone to do anything that I have not done myself or that I have not had experience with the client. So that is really where I'm coming from. And that's a lot of years of experience and all those things that you cannot learn from a book that has got. And plus, there's a lot of stuff in this beard that I know pretty much hypnotizes people. So you're welcome for the visual beard action. And that always helps. That always helps the information kind of soak up like a sponge. But I'll stay around for a couple minutes on live if you have any questions. Thank you for joining me for episode 158 of the Daily Swole. Remember, I just posted 157 a couple minutes before I went online here. So check out SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube at Swolenormous. Subscribe, like, give me a high five. Keep floating those hearts. I appreciate it. Love you. This beard is life. What's my passion? Oh, you're talking to her. Okay, well, thank you for joining me for episode 158. Remember, tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Time, episode 159 of the Daily Mother Swole. Remember to follow me on Snapchat and all those places. If you have any requests or things you want to hear about on the Daily Swole, send me a message. Be like, oh, I'd love to hear about this. I'd love to hear about that. I got tons and tons of content, but if I have a lot of people saying they want to hear about certain topics, I'm more than happy to cover some of those. So definitely send me things that you want to hear about, you want to talk more about. Watch some of the older episodes, get that collective intelligence building. And anyone that wants more personal, detailed, private training, group training, camaraderie, accountability meetings, private workout videos, program design, check out my website, Swolenormous.com. where you can get access to my Swolenormous Premium Facebook group, private Facebook group for $4.99 a month. Swolenormous Premium is the tits. It's a great little community, and it's people that really want to take their shit to the next level. Those of you that are trying to work on programs that have been working out for years, some people that have been struggling with finding a proper workout program and keep on falling out of it. So there are so many ways that you can interact with Papa Swolenormous. Again, my name is Dash. I am the Swolenormous, and this is my fitness wheelhouse brand. So make sure that you check me out on all social media, Musically, Twitter, Busker, Anchor, anything that you can get media in your face or your phone or your computer, you can find me. So check out Swolenormous Premium, my website, swolenormous.com, YouTube, member podcast, SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and the Triple Live broadcast every day at 12 noon Eastern Time, Facebook Live, Periscope, and Busker. Peace out. I will see y'all mañana.